Hi, this is Roberto Casada, and I'm here with Walter at the screening of Phantasm, remastered at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville. And I just wanted to let Walter know that I'm a big fan of iWalter.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Yes, it's Walter. I've been off for a long time. Actually, I don't even know what day it is. It's kind of strange. It's actually like Monday morning. It's a few days until Thanksgiving, actually, so it's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm going to try to at least, by hook or by crook, I'm going to try to do at least one show a week. And actually, I can just look at my watch. Okay, the date is Monday the 21st. It's hard to believe. It's only a few days again till Thanksgiving. Means I will have a short week because I will be off from work at least. Both Thursday and Friday. Now, the thing is, I don't know if they're going to do it this year. I heard they may not, but I know last year it was a really great deal if you want to get last-minute gifts. Or start your shopping, I should say, because it's actually, I don't think it's last minute at this point. But I went to like Best Buy, and I think even Old Navy was Old Navy was open last year. We got really good deals on Thanksgiving Day. Like after, you're done eating, you're sitting at home and don't know what to do with yourself. It's like a perfect time to go out and go shopping. I actually bought a bunch of box sets for friends and stuff, or one friend in particular who likes different TV shows. And these box sets were of TV shows that are like really popular, like the superhero ones. And normally, the box sets would have cost me about $50 a pop, maybe even more. They were on sale at Best Buy for $10 a pop. And it was like, dude, I'm just going to buy all the box sets you want for that price. So I bought like 2 or 3 of them, I think, and it would have normally cost over $100, but it cost me like $30. I might have bought more than 2 or 3. I might have bought like 5 at that price, and it was like, wow, this is great. Yeah, it's a good time to buy stuff is actually on Thanksgiving Day. You get better sales than you will on Black Friday. You don't have to deal with all the shenanigans that go on that day. I have a couple things. I actually was hoping, and it was my own fault too. I just was a mess this weekend. I didn't know how to do it. I was going to get my one friend Valerie to call in because she's got a great voice for singing, and that kind of fell through. So it's my fault, partially and mostly, whatever you want to call it. So I'm sorry I didn't do it with Valerie. I've been saying, I don't know when I'm going to actually do it. This guy, God, I can't remember his name now. The guy Butch from Canada. I still got to do that, folks. Maybe when I have more time to myself, I will try to put that together and actually, pull a show together just with him, dedicated with his songs that I can just occasionally go through this. It'll be a little bit easier because I won't have to talk. You won't have to hear my voice, just hear his. And he's actually really good. So is Valerie. So again, I apologize. I do have my phone hooked up in case one of my friends would call in, maybe Matt, but I doubt it at this point. I think he's got a busy day tomorrow. I think he's got some stuff due in the morning. He actually goes to school and he works full time, so it's not easy for him at all. And by the way, I think doing one show a week is probably better for me, actually, as well. Simply because, for me, actually, it gives me more to think about or to talk about. I had an interesting experience. I went to the hair barber shop down on Germantown Pike, and I told my friends I had to call about this because I'm not used to this, but there's this incredible looking, hot looking lady. She was in there, and I didn't know she actually was with her son. Her son must have been about 16 or 17. Really nice kid. And she was in there, and she had all my favorites. She had basically a workout outfit. Here, she's a fitness instructor. She was incredibly hot, if I haven't said that before. And apparently she was complaining to the barber guy. I keep on wanting to say hairdresser. I'm so used to going actually hairdressers and barbers. I used to years ago, and then I stopped. Going barbershops and then hairdressers. It's kind of a confusing thing, I know. So anyway, this woman's in here, and she's really hot. She's got on spandex. She's got an incredible body because she's a fitness instructor, or what do you call it? I probably even a nutritionist for all I know. I don't remember. And all the guys after she left, they were going all over, and I felt bad for her son because the guy, I'm sure he gets that all the time. I mentioned it to my one friend, Todd. I don't know if it was my friend Todd or Matt that used to say, yeah, we used to go over to this one guy's houses. This guy's mom was really hot. And it's like, yeah, I can kind of see how this can be awkward for the person who was the son of this mother, or why these complications happen where these moms end up sleeping with these guys, because she was really hot. Well, her problem was she's a single mom. She actually was married. She was divorced. And the one guy actually asked her, the guy who cut my hair, there's a lot of barbers there today. And there was a pile of people in there today. They were actually all younger kids. And I'm wondering if it was because of her being there. I don't know. But she definitely, again, stood out amongst the crowd. And it's a barber shop right down on Germantown Pike. Now, the thing was, she was complaining. It was I'm not the type of person who's forward with people. I've heard about situations like this. I will explain it in a moment. But her problem is, maybe it's because she is a very incredible looking woman. She actually has a problem that no guy will, she meets the wrong guys, or she can't get any guy to ask her out. So I think part of the problem is most guys probably see that she has, two sons that are probably, I would assume, at least, 17, 18 years old or something like that. I'm sure that makes it difficult for guys that come home and it's yeah, you have kids. Wow. I mean, some guys, it's easier for a guy, I think, because to pick up women than it is for a woman who has kids to pick up a guy. That's problem number one. She was very friendly. Again, she was definitely somebody who would give you a rubberneck, meaning that you would take a second look and maybe more. I know I was. And most of the other guys. And in the most, I can't think, most descriptive way after she left. But the problem was for her, not with her, but for her, is again that no guy asked her out there. And she's the guy even said, the barber probably is what? Are they intimidated by her? So I guess the woman said, yeah, I guess. I didn't hear the whole conversation the barber had with her. This one particular young guy. But apparently, yeah, that's an issue. She's so incredible looking, I guess. Depends what you consider hot. But I thought she was, and I think half those guys in there did. These younger guys and things like that. Because they're all talking about her. Is the fact that, a good look, and I think this is probably what I've heard before. I'm going to say the least. But I think I've heard this before that, guys will go after, and this is what's interesting, because I've, first time I've actually, I think, maybe not the first time, but at least to me, it's generally they say guys that are really cocky and confident will go after even the hot girls, the hot women that are incredible looking, but that's not actually the case. Guys generally go for what they think they're going to stand a chance with, and they don't want to get shot down. So what do they usually hit on generally are the girls that are, kind of okay looking, not very obnoxious, or actually generally they are more obnoxious and they are actually more headstrong. But generally I know that's from my experience. I've actually done that too when I did, not directly, I've actually had other people ask women out for me, friends and stuff. And, it's been an issue, but the problem is though, like most guys, you're not going to ask out the hot looking girl. You're going to ask out the girl that is, okay looking, because that you're either going to get shot down. If you do get shot down, I should say. My friend Matt, I got distracted. Matt, I saw your picture of your speaker. I will email you back. They are pretty sweet looking now. A little pricey, but I understand why. It's for professional use, why you bought those. People at home can't see those, so not really that important. But I've done the same thing. I've asked out girls that are very kind of okay looking, unattractive, and I hate to tell you, but generally what happens, they end up being like worse than if you would have asked out a hot girl. And that's another thing, actually funny. Years ago, the first girl I ever she asked me out was this really, really hot looking girl. Her name was Tammy Hargrove. I'd still like to know what happened to her. But it was like when she asked me out, I had to like look behind me. It's like, are you talking to me when you asked me out? She was actually a year older than me. I was 22 at the time, or 21. I think she was 22. But bottom line is, like, guys aren't used to hot girls ask them out or even being interested in them. I know from experience that's true. But I've heard, but I never believed it, honestly. Matt's going to say, you don't believe that, Walter? It's like, yeah, honestly, I never believed that, old thing. I would assume, like, women of any stature or whatever you want to call it, any look, would never have a problem picking up a guy. If you're hot looking, yeah, you're definitely in there. It's a shoe-in. If you're an ugly looking girl, you're still going to get laid or find a guy or a relationship. For a guy, it's like the old saying me and my friend Matt have said over the decades. It's for a woman, it's a choice. And for a guy, it's a chore that you have to really work at having a relationship with a woman. It's not going to come to you unless you make that like your priority one type list, because otherwise you're going to be alone for the rest of your life, and it's the absolute truth. So seeing this woman again, who again I thought she was really hot. She had on my favorite. She had spandex pants on and a workout top, and she was taking her son for a haircut, and everybody was like, checking her out. Trust me, I'm not the only one. There was like that place. I was like on a Sunday. I was wondering, and she was talking to me too, this woman, and she said, "Well, I said it's really crowded in here today," and I just assumed that she was in there not only with her son, but maybe a husband or something like that. No, she was a single mother of two. One was with her, and she said, "Oh yeah, because it's Thanksgiving." I was like, "Yeah, it was." But then the more I thought about it, I hate to tell you, but once she left, that place like dissipated, like it was like tumbleweed on the floor. So it was a little obvious, and there were all these really young teenage guys that were in there. I was like, wow, I couldn't even move in there today. And I even told the barbers in there, at least the one who cut my hair, I said, God, you guys are really crowded today. And they were all saying, yeah, because it's Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. And she said that, too, this hot-looking lady. It was like, I believed it at first, but it was like, wait a minute. When she left, the place cleared out, even if they didn't get their haircut. Like, they came in just to sit there. So I was like, okay, I think it's a little more than just that it's because Thursday is Thanksgiving. It was a little more obvious, more apparent that what was going on. They all crowded in there because of this woman in there. And the moral of my story, because there is none, is I kind of didn't believe that, but yeah, I've heard it. It's like an old wives' tale to me. That if you're a hot-looking woman, you're going to have just as much of a problem finding a man as it for a guy on a general basis finding somebody. But the woman kept on complaining. She said, yeah, I can't find anybody. I can't get a guy. Can't even go out on a date. Nobody asks me out. They're too afraid of me for some reason. She couldn't understand why. It's like, well, it's easy because you're hot-looking. And generally, and a big part of it, why I'm bringing this up, because I've said that for years, but my analysis, if I was going to give a prescription analysis on my diagnosis for why this happens is, and it's not her fault, but I've heard this for years, folks, where like on I was going to say Stern, but I meant Rush Limbaugh, and I've heard it from other shows too, probably, and I've read articles that men have been so I don't want to use this word, so I apologize for who it may offend, but men have been so pussy whipped and so feminized by the feminazis and women saying we want men that are more feminine, more Yeah, more feminine instead of more masculine. Well, what that's ended up doing, it's changed men into literally into patsies, or I'm not going to use the other word. Which actually, in the beginning of my show, I was going to pull this because I don't know if I told you, but I've actually watched a whole series now. There's a few loose ends I still got to watch of Are You Being Served? Well, there was a show that was made. They titled it for Americans. It's simpler to remember. Let me see if I can see the name of it. No, it's actually got the same thing on the desk, called Are You Being Served Again, which it actually was not the name from the BBC. Now, on that show, that woman always talks about her cat. She refers to her as a pussy, the cat. So on the sequel to Are You Being Served, there's this line in there, one line where they always make jokes, and it's supposed to be sexually interpreted. So, yeah, she makes a joke, the woman with the cat, using a reference to a pussy, a mouse, and the mice would run the other way if she would show her pussy off, meaning the cat, but you're supposed to interpret it the other way. So it was really funny. I was going to make it actually a clip out of that from the show, but the fact that it's running a little bit late, this is not late for me. This is actually just getting up out of bed practically, 12:30 at night. So I could do it, but I just forgot about it too. So maybe next time I will put that in. But anyway, going back to what I was talking about, it's not this woman's fault. And in some ways, I kind of almost am gloating how, the feminazis, the left has not only destroyed men, and there's people like the one girl at work. She's very cute. She's not anywhere close to being as hot as this woman today I saw. But she's a very cute woman, but she's fully convinced that men are all serial sexist sex offenders that are on college campuses, because she's back on college campuses, one particular woman, who she's like got in her head, she thoroughly believes, folks, that men are just on college campuses raping women left and right. Like they're like basically uncontrollable, full of testosterone, creatures of habit that just want to rape every woman on campus or rip their clothes off, which is like far from the truth. Because when I saw this woman today, it was like, you got to be kidding. You can't find a man. I'm thinking in the back of my head, and one side of my brain, like one side of it saying, you know what, you got to be joking. You're having a hard time finding a guy. You're like fucking, sorry about that. You're incredibly hot looking. If I had the nerve to ask you out, I would ask you out in a heartbeat, sons or no sons. And the sons were very nice. Her one son that I saw, he was actually apologetic because they were waiting there before I was. And it was like the guy was going to cut my hair. Says, you can come next. It was like, yeah, but weren't they waiting? This hot woman with her son? And he said, no, you can come in. And I sat down, and she said, well, we were kind of here first. Can I jump? And the kid was apologizing to me for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And the kid's like a football player, apparently, too. And I was like, I said to him, I said, don't worry about it. You were here before I was. The bottom line was the kids were her kid was very nice. But I kind of blame that on society too, because the reason for a lot of these divorces or separations and stuff, I blame on the way our society's set up. And I hate to say it, I think, this is my opinion, obviously, but the way people have been brainwashed that women could handle, not being married. They don't need a man in their life to have a good life or to be able to have children. Well, this woman, not only was she hot, not only did she have a problem finding a man because everybody was too afraid of her, too intimidated by her. 3, she said that it's very difficult for a single mother, divorced mother, to handle 2 children. So there you go. That's another thing that is a misconception by the media left and the feminazis. So, and why does this all take place? Why is this woman probably divorced or separated? Honestly, I don't know, but I'm sure it definitely helps of her trying to find somebody else, some type of other relational relationship, or whatever you want to call it. another guy, why it's so difficult for her is because a lot of men out there, I hate to tell you, have been brainwashed to think that if you ask out a woman, don't be surprised if you get accused of raping her, because that's what I'm always convinced about. I mean, that's been thoroughly drilled in my head that, hey, don't ask out a woman because the first thing she's going to do is assume that you're going to rape her. And most of the looks I get from most of the women are exactly that type of look. Excuse me about that. It's getting very hot in this room from having all the doors closed and the heat up. I could open the window and it'd definitely cool off in a second. It's only like 26 degrees, 31 degrees out, I think. 31, I think. 34, something like that. So not important. But, so, hey, you can thank, if I was this lady, this hot woman, I would say the same thing. Listen, if you are upset about this, don't blame yourself. Blame the proper people, the feminazis and the left, and also the media, who has embedded not only in women's minds but in guys' minds, stay away from women, because just think of all women out there as having chastity belts on, and if they're really hot, definitely avoid them like the plague, or that they have some invisible aura around their body, because you can't touch that. So so congratulations, media, wacko left, and these nutcase feminazis. You've really destroyed not only men's lives but apparently hot women's lives as well. So you did a great job. I guess that's what you wanted to accomplish, so you did a great job. So anyway, I'm already at 20 minutes, which isn't that far. I want to keep it within an hour span if possible. I think it won't be a problem tonight, actually. So anyway, I wanted to get that out. I actually went and seen tonight. I was going back and forth. This is why I didn't really set anything up with anybody tonight as far as material with live audience members, or at least one to call in, because I was trying to decide, is like, okay, at least this weekend, one, I'm going to catch up on sleep and relax and enjoy myself for the weekend. Two, I was going to go see the movie. There's a couple movies maybe I want to go see. Actually, it's probably about two. And one is The Fantastic Beast, Where to Find Them, which I did see. And the second one is Doctor Strange. Well, Doctor Strange is like a dead ringer. Most people don't go see that. And that I could probably wait on. It's a superhero movie in a roundabout way. So, yeah, I've seen enough superhero movies to last me practically at least another couple months. I could say a lifetime, but I can't say that because I would be lying. So anyway, I wanted to see The Fantastic Beast because there was a really good actor in there who's played in two other films I liked. One was he played the character of Stephen Hawkins, yes, and the man who is still alive, but it was a documentary on how Stephen Hawkins actually became wheelchair bound. This actor played this part, who also played in The Fantastic Beast. Well, he also played in this movie about being the first transgender, and I'm trying to think of the name of that. And let me see if I have it on my history. Actually, let me open a new window. And then look at my history. And I will pull this stuff up hopefully soon because I'll just look for that actor's name. Anyway, Fantastic Beasts came in pretty well this week, and I think not that great, but not like a superhero movie would come in. But it came in actually pretty promising. It actually came in with $75 million this weekend. But that, I don't even know if that's actually globally, or is that just... let's see. It looks like domestic total. So the domestic total was 75. But, okay, budget production was 180. And it was almost 2.5 hours. Let's see if it gives actually foreign. No, that's, let's see, foreign total. Foreign total was 143. So almost 140. Well, 143.5 almost. So that's pretty damn good. So you're almost talking, what, a little over $200 million. That's actually pretty okay worldwide. 218.3. So that was actually pretty damn close. So that's actually really good. Now, these are, by the way, just to give you a heads up real quick, because I did want to look up this gentleman's name. I really like this actor now because I've seen him in a couple films. It's basically, Fantastic Beasts is a continuation from J.K. Rowling, is it? On the Harry Potter series. Now, I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter movies, so I was... when I see a Harry Potter movie, I think I went and seen the first, the second one, and I think I saw at least up to the one with David Tennant before he became Doctor Who, and it was like, it's all right. It's not anything to write home about, these Harry Potter movies, and I kind of just lost interest, and I never bothered to see them after the first two. I seriously thought I even made it to 3 because there's a ton of those movies. So when I saw the Fantastic Beasts, it actually caught my eye to begin with. Then I found out it was the same woman who wrote the books of Harry Potter. She wrote another series of books in the same universe. And these were called, the first one is called The Fantastic Beasts, or one of them. I don't even know. I don't even read those damn books, so I don't really know and didn't care. But when I saw this one particular actor's name, I was like, you know what? I got to actually check this out because I do like the actor. And seeing him in something different would actually be kind of worthwhile because, he's proved himself already. And by the way, there were some really good previews, too, for different movies. One of the things that definitely caught my eye with the Fantastic Beast was, it says right here, it was the year... the storyline is based upon 1926, and it's in New York, even though the main character is British. And it is, it's about wizards, the whole 9 yards. Okay, I thought the one guy looked familiar. The villain in this is Colin Farrell. I thought he looked very familiar, and I couldn't put my finger on him. It was Colin Farrell played the villain. Yeah, so that actually kind of got me off guard because it was like one of these things. Okay, this guy looks so familiar. Who is he? But anyway, the main actor, I'm trying to look for him right now, looks like Eddie Redmayne. Is that how you say his name? I'm not quite sure. But he is definitely, proved himself. I'm trying to look for his movies though. The main actors, because he's done main actor. Okay, he did The Danish Girl, Fantastic Beasts, which I just saw tonight. The Theory of Everything, that's the one on Hawkins. He actually was in a 2012 version of the famous musical Les Miserables, and he was in a movie called Jupiter Ascending, which I've never seen. Again, his first name is Eddie, and it looks like Redmayne or something. Redmayne. I'm not sure how you say that, but the man has actually proved himself as being a very good actor. This character definitely was different for him. I almost could see him in the near future, probably, because it's happened with one other actor on the new series of my favorite show of Doctor Who. I could actually see him probably playing that part if it was ever offered to him. I'm not sure if he would take it, but I could actually see him playing the character because if you remember, Christopher Eccleston is definitely more of a screen actor. He's actually lately, though, acted on TV shows, but he was known for playing major villains on different movies, and he ended up being Doctor Who. Of course, he didn't want to get typecasted, so he only did it for approximately only 1 year. But this actor of Eddie would be definitely a good character for Doctor Who. I'm sure he wouldn't want to do it for very long, though. Oh, by the way, in the movie of The Fantastic Beasts, there was a very, I don't know if you want to call it a cameo, but it was kind of a surprise, to say the least, was that Johnny Depp was in the very last few seconds of the film, and I won't say any more because it'll ruin it. But the movie overall was actually interesting. The cinematography, would you call it, the scenery, was incredible. I'm not much for fluffy, what do you call it, foreign mystical creatures. That I could probably, but that's what the whole movie was based upon. So to me, that was the part I kind of least liked about the film. It was just too much of it. But that's what, again, the film is. It's a Harry Potter film, so you don't expect much more or less from a movie like that. So that was my only problem with it. But the film was definitely entertaining. My worst problem, too, is feeling that, it was only a 2-hour movie, but it's still, I had to go to the bathroom after so long. I held it in. I sat through all the credits at the very end, too. So that was one thing. You know what? It was funny, folks. I was going to say this, and I had to look for his picture because I don't even know how to say his name properly. But you know what would be really good, I would think? I was thinking this. I just want to hear people's opinion, even though I don't get a listener base. But you know what would be a really good idea if it ever comes, because that time's going to come up with, let me make sure I get this right in my mind. Off the subject, like always, because I'm good at that. But when they pick another James Bond, the one I would definitely pick for James Bond, this is just my preference, I would think, who would make an incredible James Bond, would be Henry Cavill. Did I say that correctly? Henry Cavill, because it says right now he's only, I'm surprised. I thought he was actually a little bit more older than that. Not that he looks it. I just assumed he was a little bit more mature than that. He's only 33 years old, so that's perfect for the part. And actually, that would be kind of pushing it a little bit. But yeah, if they would ever consider, because I think, who's playing it now, is kind of like getting to the point, okay, I'll do maybe 1 or 2 more movies, but after that, forget it. The actor who plays James Bond now. But honestly, if I was going to pick, the man's already could play this stringent role just because he's already doing Superman. So why not play James Bond? He's British, I believe. Let's see where he was born, actually. TV shows, upcoming movies, born. Because honestly, I assumed he's British. I thought he was. He's 6'1", perfect height. Has it would be a perfect James Bond, bottom line. And I think he is British, but I can't find it. Wow, I didn't know that. Well, according to this, it said he was born in May 5th, 1983 in Jersey. Oh, okay, Jersey, but that actually is Jersey in the largest Channel island between England and France. So technically, yeah, he is British because I think that's one of the requirements. But personally, he would look like a Bond if you go with the continuation of what you've had now, which I can't remember his name now, so I'm going to have to look that up. I'm really bad. Let me move my mic down. It might stick with this kind of thing with the British actors, too. Ian Fleming, James Bond. Why don't I know who the James Bond actor is at this point? Oh, Daniel Craig. Continuing with the Daniel Craig kind of pretty boy kind of gritty look, I would think, personally, Henry Cavill would be definitely the way to go. That's just my opinion. So I just wanted to throw it out there for folks to get a response back. Yes, Matt, I am not asking you, baby. I don't know. Maybe I will. Because, I do like certain types of films. By the way, I don't have the ticket in front of me. I thought I did. I hope I didn't lose all my other stories. No, I didn't. Good. So, yeah, it was Fantastic Beast. I actually did order it online because I was kind of curious about it, and I took a day off on the 14th of November, which was a week from today. Was a week back from today's date, which is, once again, it's the 21st. But last weekend, I was at the same place it was tonight, the Regal Oaks Stadium. And I went and I paid $17 for the ticket, believe it or not. But I wanted to take a day off from work to go see Doctor Who. It says Animated, The Power of the Daleks. It was a missing episode, PG. It actually got a PG rating. I'm surprised it's not G. It was with Patrick Troughton. And it was the one after he regenerated. So I might have talked about this already, so I apologize. I might be repeating myself. I wanted to see it because it was a missing episode. The actual film of all of Troughton's and most of Hartnell's, and actually I should say most of Troughton's, and at some point, pretty much all of John Pertwee's, his first season, and some other ones were totally destroyed because BBC had a clean out, apparently, where they basically got all these old film reels, because everything was shot on film for a lot of these TV shows, and they decided just to basically incinerate them. So they got rid of a lot of stuff because they never thought, well, Doctor Who's never going to be anything big, not realizing that years later it became like, the biggest science fiction show of all times was Doctor Who, besides Star Trek. I'm sorry, folks. So anyway, some of the stuff got salvaged back because it was out on loan in different countries. They got those copies back. So they were able to replenish most of the films that were lost. The BBC, literally destroyed intentionally. So one of them they could not get back, but they actually had the audio files. They have all the audio files for all the episodes, even if the film reels are lost because it's shot separately and taken to a different location. They were able to actually get to one who've had it for years, of Power to Dialects. It was the first one again after Troughton had stepped in the spot of Doctor Who. There were some parts of that were kind of interesting because this was a big experiment where literally they did change. It was more so they changed the actor and pretty much almost the character on that episode, which I never knew, because Troughton regenerated from Hartnell into Troughton, but the thing was, so did his clothes. His costume regenerated with himself. And throughout the episode, he was like, when his companion said, this is the same person, he kept on insisting it's a different person. He doesn't even know who this other person was. So they kind of cleared up that confusion, I guess, when it came from Troughton became John Pertwee as Doctor Who. They made it more apparent, this is the same guy. This is not a different guy. This is the same person. So they clarified that by the third try. Excuse me about that. So there was things like that I didn't quite understand. There's other things I thought the way I had. It was the same thing actually with the 10th Planet as well. But when you only could read these stories, like the 10th Planet and the Power to Dialects, 2 episodes that were pretty much demolished, 10th Planet actually had quite a bit of it left. Those episodes, I grew up trying to imagine in my own mind what these episodes may have looked like since they were destroyed. And generally, your imagination is much, much better than what it actually ends up looking like. So even in a cartoon version of the Power to Dialects, it definitely gave me an idea what they were trying to show you. Even though the interpretation was they said it was slightly altered from the original way it was shot, it definitely gave you an idea, and it wasn't anything what I expected. And they did go by still reels or little snippets of footage they had laying around, so they had an idea how to put it together back into a motion type of picture, even though it was a cartoon. And they kept pretty close as possible. They even got some of the original people who had saw this for the first time after not see for the second time, but as a cartoon from the original time. And these were people who were either worked behind the camera or in front of it, and who had saw this cartoon, and they said it just amazed them how it brought back memories of what they did, but it was shown in the cartoon. So it was pretty accurate at the same time. But the problem was, though, it wasn't exactly what I imagined. And it was the same thing because they didn't lose as much, or, they didn't lose really anything, very little, of the Doctor Who episode called The 10th Planet with Hartnell, Cybermen, and also his first regeneration from Hartnell's very last episode. So when I saw that, what I had over the years built up my mind of the 10th Planet, what it was all about when I finally saw it, because that actually had pretty much about 90% of the footage was still all there. It was nothing what I expected it to look like. It was completely different. It was actually almost sleep material. So I'm fortunate to say that. Now, other episodes I got to see that weren't lost, actually were lost, and they did find. Probably one of the best ones with Doctor Who was one with Hartnell called The Chase, which was a little weird, a little quirky, but at the same time was definitely very entertaining. And that was one, I got to see, and it was actually I was surprised by it. Now, there was other ones that I was not. In fact, I'd have to see if I can pull those up right now. There was actually, out of Hartnell's, there was actually some episodes, a lot of his were, like I said, again, were lost, but they were able to actually find ones, believe it or not, that they were found in another country years later. I'm trying to see if I can find those right now. TV shows, let's see. Because there was 2 of them just recently, and I bought those actually on Prime. I actually never bothered to buy the discs. I figured not Prime, I'm sorry. I bought them on my Apple TV. And I never bothered to buy the disc. I'm surprised because I Doctor Who stuff I will buy discs of, and strictly to have, for collector's reasons. Even if I don't take them out of the box, I still collect the boxes of the discs. It sounds kind of stupid, I know. Probably because it is. Anyway, I don't see them right now. I see Doctor Who classic episodes. Here we go. Let's see, because it got mixed in with some other episodes of Doctor Who. For some reason, it's not showing up now. Generally, it does. It's under classics. But these were Doctor Who episodes that were lost and just recently found. And again, I'm not seeing them. But there were 2 Hartnell. Now, those, they were episodes that I always kind of imagined in my head, and because I never got to see them, I only heard about them for when I was a kid. So when I actually got to see them, I'm going to actually look for those right now. I'll put Doctor Who in Hartnell. When I actually got to see him, again, it was one of those, it's not what I expected it to be, but they actually did show up, I think, somewhere in another country. Because what happens in these countries, other countries, if it's like Australia or some other foreign country, I'm trying to remember his name, Troughton. What they do is, sometimes, not that they were supposed to, but now it doesn't really matter, they would make make copies of these episodes and then return them, and that way they would have a copy for themselves, which you're really not supposed to duplicate them, but it was, thank God they did, or they forgot to return the reels. So the good thing about that was they actually then finally returned, even if it's blah, blah, blah. If it is a copy or the actual copy, they actually returned those. I'm seeing them right now. I might have to buy a couple of these. These are really good episodes, too, of Troughton's. But it was called Enemy of the World. It's actually only $13 on Amazon anyway. So I may, again, add that to my basket just to have it. Hopefully I did not buy it already. I remember buying it on, what do you call it? I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. I'm getting excited. But it was called Enemy of the World. It was actually one they used to show a lot of pictures of Troughton. And it never actually surfaced, so to speak, as far as an episode you could watch. It got found just recently. It was a lost episode around the globe. And the other one was called, a famous one, it was called Doctor Who and the Web of Fear. Both of them are only like $13, so it's not like you spend a lot of money on them. Let me see. Add to cart. So I'm gonna have to double check, because again, make sure I don't have these in my bin of Doctor Who episodes. Because if I do, forget it. I won't buy it again. Yeah, I'm gonna even wait on buying them. But I distinctly remember buying these episodes on streaming. And again, I wouldn't mind having hard copies of them. So, yeah, I mean, where was I? Yeah, Doctor Who, was interesting to see some of these episodes that were missing, because when you actually physically see them, they're not quite what you expected them to be. Let's see. Why do I have that up? Okay, I got some of the gruesome stories, so I'm going to wait on those and go through the better stories. Now, I'm behind on a couple shows, by the way, because I don't know if I think I did mention. Are You Being Served? I actually watched the whole series, and then I went into the sequel they made for 2 years. And I think part of it was that show I mentioned to a friend. That show is actually kind of interesting, because I know there's certain shows they do that, mainly soap operas, where these actors basically make a complete career out of being on a soap opera for their whole entire life. Now, certain shows, especially comedies, you generally don't hear about that. Now, British shows, I think they kind of do. Actors can get a whole, a lifelong, career out of just doing TV shows. And, I mean, they might do movies, but they're stick with just doing TV shows for their whole entire life. They spend their whole, EastEnders and stuff. So, it's not uncommon. But it was kind of weird, because one of those, believe it or not, is Are You Being Served? Because I watched the whole entire series thanks to the friend at work, Valerie, and it was really good. And now I'm watching the sequel that was on for 2 years. But get this, Are You Being Served? Now, it doesn't seem like a lifelong thing, but some of these people basically are no longer with us. They passed away a couple years ago. These actors on that show. The show started in 1972, by the way, folks, if I remember correctly. And if you add on the other show that was off, the other show was off for didn't come on until 7 years after Are You Being Served was finished. So I'm just going to go by the other name you will find it under, because I don't want to be bothered by looking it up right now, the name they actually called this sequel. But it is a sequel to Are You Being Served. If you combine that, now Are You Being Served ended in 1985. Excuse me, it was 1990 that the sequel picked up for 2 years. Well, 1972 to 1992, 72 to 92 is 20 years, folks. So, the thing that's interesting about that, you can actually see these people progressively age as the years went on watching this show. So it's weird when you watch this show for over that 20-year span, but it's even more frightening when you see it over a matter of weeks, which I did. Actually not even that long. I think it was a matter of 2 weeks. I watched the whole entire series, which wasn't that difficult because there's only 5 episodes per season. And each one was only 30 minutes long, so I figured, I'll cut through this really fast. But, I mean, I'm sure these actors did other shows, but they were most recognized or affiliated with doing this show of Are You Being Served? And, again, I think at least 3 of the main actors, maybe all of them, had passed away at this point of old age. But you can actually see, even the one who was the youngest girl in the show, she was very young when she started the show. Not extremely young, but definitely in her 20s or 30s. And by the time she got into the sequel, you could see how much she definitely aged over even that 7-year hiatus before they brought them back. Not as much beforehand, but yeah, I mean, it's the first show honestly I've ever watched. I mean, there is other shows that were like that you see actors age over the years. Probably one that comes off the top of my head is Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley, because they were on for a couple years too. Definitely Happy Days. I think it was on for almost a decade itself. Right now, if you pick a comedy, which has been on for a decade, it would definitely, it's going over, believe it or not, it's not even a no-brainer, actually, is The Big Bang Theory. Believe it or not, another one that's kind of a real shock is which I actually haven't got back to watch, and I wouldn't mind doing it at some point in time, and it's still going very strong, is that show called Supernatural, because that actor the main actor actually started out in Smallville. Smallville's been on for a couple years. It was on for a decade. And the main actor, I think after the second or third season, he went off to do another show called Supernatural. And that show's still on. And I think it is on its 11th season. I think it's going towards its 12th. So, but you see these actors, now those guys you don't see age as much on Supernatural. The people men and women in Are You Being Served, you definitely see them age quite a bit over the years, even though 20 years is a long time if you think about it. No matter how you think about it, it's a long time. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty weird. It definitely has been, keeping me like, wow, it's strange watching these people and didn't know that they had passed away. It's almost like it's bad enough you sit in front of a TV set and you make your life what you see in front of you by watching these shows. But it's even stranger when you see these people like live their whole life. Their whole life is within playing a character on a show to the point that they actually live and die just doing that TV show. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of cool, believe it or not. I know it's kind of morbid to say, but it's kind of cool because they're going to a 9-to-5 job they actually, I would think they actually enjoy, as opposed to somebody like me who's going to a 9-to-5 job that I just can't stand. And I know I'm going to, someday I'm going to retire from this job and be miserable. Because actually the characters, this is no joke, the characters in Are You Being Served with the sequel, that's exactly what they said they are. They said they retired from the one job to now establish a new job as a group of people. They actually inherited from the company founder a hotel, and that's how they explain it. So, yeah, so it's definitely, what do you call it? It's definitely kind of it's interesting, but it's actually very depressing at the same time, because it's like, okay, not only do you watch these people age and grow old in front of you, especially at the accelerated rate that I'm watching it, but you actually find out that they're dead now too. I mean, I'm deceased. I mean, that makes it even more. I don't know how else to put it. It just makes it kind of depressing. So yeah, so there's that. I was going to read. I'm actually just posting. I'm not going to read these. Alternative costumes or looks for the Suicide Squad people. I really don't want to. I don't want to read into that one right now. I actually did buy on Apple TV the Suicide Squad. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, so it's a shame. It's funny. It's an extended edition, by the way. Yeah, God, it's already 53 minutes. I really do know how to talk. So I don't have to speed this process up because I said about an hour, and it's going to be a little over now, a lot over. Yeah, it was funny. The extended edition, just to forewarn people who are interested like me in buying it, it's like 5 minutes more footage. So why do you call that extended edition when you're only adding like 3, 4, 5 minutes on? That's not an extended edition. To me, a movie that is an extended edition, even though I won't watch these, is like The Hobbit or something, or Lord of the Rings, where an extended edition means there is 2 hours of footage that was cut out that's put back in the film. That's what I call an extended edition. So anyway, real quick, I'm going to go through these because I only got like probably 5 minutes left, which is going to go way over that. It was from, let's see, comicbookmovie.com. New Supergirl extended trailer possibly reveals Cyborg Superman. So if you're a Supergirl fan like me, I'm 2 episodes behind. Yeah, you got that to look forward to. Cyborg Superman. These are all from the comic books, by the way. Okay, I'm going to go through my lighter stories if I can find them. And there probably is really no. Oh, okay, I do have one more. So there's that. There is a couple other stories I wanted to mention, and I can't remember what they are. So I'm going to let those go. Hey, there was a trailer. It did look kind of interesting. Emma Watson, since I was mentioning earlier about the Harry Potter stuff, Emma Watson, who was in Harry Potter, is going to be in more of the Disney version cartoon, but they're making a live movie, or whatever you want to call it, not a cartoon, but a real movie, or even though it's got CG in there, of Emma Watson playing Beauty in Beauty and the Beast, like the musical cartoon where they're making that into a real person film, so to speak. So, hey, if you're a big Harry Potter fan, she looks really good too, Emma Watson. She was that little kid in the Harry Potter movies. So there you go. This coming summer, I think it is King Kong, or it's just called Kong Skull Island. Official trailers are up on YouTube. It looks really cool, by the way. What they're trying to go for, this is actually going to be in Kong, and then it's eventually going to lead into Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah, it's no joke. It's not coming right away. So this is strictly Kong in his own turf instead of in New York. It's not another remake of King Kong. No, this is strictly Kong on the island, like Godzilla style, which is going to lead into a fight, I think, in years to come, not right away, of a King Kong versus Godzilla movie like they did years ago with the Japanese version. They're going to make an American version of that. But I don't know when that's going to happen, folks, so don't ask me. And by the way, I did watch American Horror Story last night. They actually did continue on, and it was actually still interesting. I won't say it was great. I am heading closer to that hour mark, by the way. But it definitely kept my interest. It's kind of cool. I think the problem with most of the seasons, I haven't seen one yet that has been different. This one is probably the closest I'm going to get to saying it was a little bit better than the rest on that show of American Horror Story, is they kind of go a little bit bizarre after a while, sometimes more quickly than other seasons. This one has definitely taken 3 different turns, like in different directions from when they started on this season of American Horror Story. And every time in the past, like twice already, I thought, okay, this is going to be the very last episode for this season. They surprise you and they pump out at least 1 or 2 more. So there's generally only 13 or 12 episodes a season. This has actually gotten up to, I think, 11 already. So I don't even know how they did it. And it's been pretty interesting. So I just wanted to tell you about that. I actually did watch, for those who watch it, did watch Big Bang Theory. That's actually always a good show. That's been on again for over 10 years, I think, if I'm correct. And it definitely hasn't gotten weak yet. The show is definitely still really good. One person I haven't talked about in a while, it's a singer. I actually really liked her. She actually won, believe it or not, on, I think it was that one show, The Voice, I think. I think it was The Voice. Was Melanie Martinez, because I haven't really heard or seen anything from her lately. She still actually is touring, but I actually stumbled upon she actually did some more music videos, and they actually are really good. She's got a very surreal thing to her movies, her videos. Unfortunately, she hasn't made any new music, so she's just basically working off that one album she put out, which, hey, I don't knock her for it. She's gotten a lot further than anybody else on these contestant shows. She's actually made a career out of this one album so far. And now she's made a video almost practically for every song on the album that she's done, or CD, I should say. I don't know what people call it nowadays. But I hate to tell you, it is actually really, really good, in my opinion, because I could probably, friend Matt would see it and say, what are you talking about? This girl is horrible, or that she's okay, she's not spectacular. I just think it's impressive because she definitely got a very unique twist to her videos. Not that she has anything to do with it, but she puts like a trademark stamp that's pretty much very consistent to her look on her videos. So I would have to say she's got some say on how these things turn out. And they are very bizarre, very fantasy, childlike videos, and very disturbing at the same time, but they're definitely very cool. So let's see. She made a double video, and it's like 6 minutes or 7 minutes long almost. And it's called You're It and Milk and Cookies Double Feature. She did that to a couple of videos where she actually combines two songs and makes two different videos that are like basically nicely kind of mend themselves together. And it's weird. You have to watch them to understand what I'm talking about. Because most of the time I don't make sense to a lot of people. Even tonight, because I was trying to establish a conversation on my podcast with my friend, and she didn't understand what I was trying to tell her. So I'm good at that. So I apologize about this. Anyway, since Christmas is right around the corner, too, for those people like me who are big Doctor Who fans, even though it's not as good as the original series, they will be having not Christopher Eccleston. Why did I just say him? I'm going to say another wrong name, so I'm going to make sure I get it right before I open my mouth anymore. Peter Capaldi. He is actually going to be back on the big screen for the TV episode of Doctor Who. Now, Doctor Who wasn't, no new ones were made this whole entire year. There will not be any more episodes made until beginning of next year, and then they will be shown later in 2017, probably around, my guess is, probably November or something like that. They try to put it back to around when they originally were shown, which was around that time. It's like late. Actually, some episodes of Doctor Who, I think, were actually aired years ago in March and stuff. So there's no definite date. So anyway, there's going to be a Christmas special. It says the Doctor will return this Christmas. And there is an episode coming that will probably be on the BBC America. But for people like myself, since it is going to be the holiday weekend during the holiday week, because the holidays actually do fall, at least one of them falls on the weekend. I think it's a Sunday for Christmas. And obviously then New Year's won't fall any other place except a weekday. So anyway, between those days, I think it's the 27th. I don't have the date in front of me. I think it's something like that. Not that that's Christmas or New Year's, obviously. But for another reason that, yeah, Doctor Who will be for one night only. That particular Christmas special episode will be in theaters. So I actually wouldn't mind going to see that. And that's going to be a brand new one, never shown, never aired at that point. Probably will be, but I don't know. Because generally, if it's a Christmas special, they show it on Christmas Day in England, and then the next day for us Americans to go see. Or sometimes they actually do show them, because there is an hour difference. I mean, not 1 hour, but there is a couple hours difference between us and England. So BBC America will show it on Christmas Day, as well as BBC, the original one, showing it in England. And I'm over an hour, so I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Now I'm down to the nitty-gritty of crappy stories, probably. And I'm just going to make sure how I can do this. This was a funny... No, it's not a funny story, but it's funny in the sense that this actually happened, if that makes any sense. And it's from the Daily UK Mail. And I saw this. I told a friend. I just didn't know how to describe it correctly. What is it? It's this little baby. I can't pronounce her name, but she was only 3 years old. And the poor kid, it's this girl 3, who has been... was being eaten alive by herpes that she caught from kissing a family member, has finally recovered. So this poor little girl, a baby, actually constricted herpes from kissing somebody. Kids are just that way. Unfortunately, she put her mouth or face or whatever you want to call it, well, it's definitely both, on the wrong person. And she contracted herpes, a little baby. So, I mean, again, it's not meant to be funny, but in some sense of the word, I don't know how else to put it, it is kind of funny. Not for that kid, because, I mean, if the herpes was eating her face off, I mean, no, that's not funny at all. So don't take it the wrong way. I'm just saying, though. Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that. Let me I go back. I was checking for some other stories. Daily UK always has some. It became the trash paper of the world now. So yeah, suffered from painful blisters across her face and after catching herpes from kissing a family member. I mean, that's pretty scary in many ways. And they show a picture of this poor kid, and yeah, her face just looks horrendous. I mean, she's fine now, but she wasn't fine for a while there, and she constricted herpes. So I don't think she was doing anything sexually, at a 3-year-old wasn't. She just, unfortunately, put her mouth on the wrong person and got herpes. So that was actually dated back, let's see, on the 16th of November. So it's a little bit of an older story. There was a story, a friend, I was going to make a bigger deal out of it. I won't probably now. Phoenixville, though, it does kind of bother me because you hear these stories and they only get kind of pushed under the rug or laughed upon that, hey, why are you making a big deal out of it? But it says Chester County High School teacher aide had sexual contact with students, but it was two of them, two teenage guys, and she's a married woman. This was what I never understand. Teacher's aide at Chester County High School engaged in sexual contact with two of her students, the DA alleges. The West Chester woman and teacher's aide has been arrested for allegedly having sexual contact with students at the school where she works, according to the Chester County District Attorney's Office. Authorities said the 42-year-old Sherry Matterford had a sexual relationship with two male students while working as an aide at Unionville High School. And it was funny because in one part, not to make it that way, it says, quote, I have said it before and I will say it again. DA Tom Hogan said, quote again, rule number one for school staff is do not have sexual contact with the students. If you break the rule, you will be fired, sent to jail, and never work again. Well, that should be a no-brainer. You have to tell your teachers not to have sexual relationships with the students. You have to actually physically point that out. It's one thing they won't be tolerated, but you got to kind of embed that in their head because otherwise they don't know. Apparently, I'm looking for the part where says the sexual incident. I'm kind of skipping around. Sexual incidents occurred off campus and outside of during regular school hours. This woman texted the first victim, who was under the age of 18. In August, she had him meet her outside his home, authorities said. Then she drove him outside the neighborhood and gave him alcohol, parked at a restaurant in, Birmingham Township, and then took him out into the middle of a field, according to the criminal complaint. Once there, she kissed him and performed oral sex on him, the DA said. There's something where her husband was waiting while this was all going on in one of these cases. It says they returned to the restaurant where they met her husband, who later drove the boy home. Matt Ford, or whatever, how you say her name, told the boy to call her when he was 18. So apparently it looks like her husband was involved with this because he drove the son home after she basically performed, what do you call it? She basically gave, I'm trying to think of the right word. I can't even think of it now. Oral sex on the kid. And she did this twice. So I don't know what it is. And it boils down to, you have to tell the teachers, hey, listen, if you don't tell them that they're not allowed to have sex or sexual relationships with the students, they won't know otherwise. I mean, are they that stupid? I don't think so. I just find it kind of interesting. Another story. I told you the garbage stories are going to be at the very end. I got to speed this up because it's actually already 10 after on my thing. Friend sent me, I think, this story from news station Channel 16. Mother accused of trying to kill her children could have charges dismissed. This was in Wilkesboro, so it is my one friend Todd from Wilkesboro. A mother accused of trying to kill her children in Lutheran County wants her case thrown out. Her attorney argues that a key piece of evidence is missing. So I don't know what she did. I can't remember. This was a couple days ago, this story. Maybe actually longer than that. I'm trying to look for November 14th. Oh, yeah, that was probably over a week ago. Looks like her name is Scholl, is accused of trying to kill herself and her kids in a car, in her car last December near Wilkesboro. She has been locked up since December. Police say she ran a hose from her car exhaust into the vehicle, basically trying to kill herself and her children. So there's more to this story. I'll leave it up to you if you want to read it, because, again, it's just running late, and I do have a pile of stories. I just want to kind of glance through them. Now, I know I always complain about this. It really bothers me, and I always said it's very dangerous. Next story, it was from Wilkesboro also, because it was on the news. And a friend actually found it on their webpage for the news station, where it's titled Made in the Shade, Pennsylvania Window Tinting Laws. Apparently, nobody ever follows these tint laws. I've noticed it a million times. I find it very dangerous, and I think it's not safe for police officers also, and it actually does mention in this article it is not, because the proper amount of tint you're allowed to have on the window is very light compared to what I've seen on most cars, even basically the ones that come from the manufacturer, because the amount of tint you're allowed on your window must allow in, believe it or not, is 70% light. And they have a light meter that the cops can use to check out if your tint is too dark. So if 70% light can't go through with this meter through the inside of the car, that is way too dark. Well, guess what? There is a story on this thing too. Again, you can find it on WNEP.com and look for the story. Again, it says Made in the Shade. And this is for Pennsylvania, and it is a very dangerous thing, because, one, I've noticed at night that people can't even see out of these heavily tinted windows, because you're not supposed to, but they do. They tint their front window as well as their sides and their back window, which is illegal, but they do it anyway. Well, at least in Wilkesboro, it says they will basically, if they find you and you don't obey the law on the amount of tint you have, you could face up to a $110 fine, which honestly is, to me, that's just a slap on the wrist. They need to go a little further than $110. I'd give them like a $500 fine or a $1,000 fine. That will make people take the tint off real quick. So, because I find it very annoying, and actually I find it very dangerous for myself being on the road with these people personally. So, again, that was an interesting story. So, thank you, Todd. I've been wanting to read that all week, and I never had the chance. So, actually, I never was online to do so. So, now I am. Okay, I do got a couple more stories. This was interesting, and I'll make it really, really, really fast. Constitution.com has some really good stories. This one I had lingered on my webpage all week. Once again, media lies about the rise in hate crimes against Muslims, fake hate crimes. And this was from Constitution.com. Now that Donald Trump has been elected to the White House, you can be sure that the media will suddenly realize that the homelessness is rampant, unemployment is a major problem, and the economy is bad. So they never saw this with Obama. This was all basically pushed under the rug. Now all of a sudden, it will surface once January 20th comes and passes. You're going to see, oh, yeah, this has always been a problem, but it hasn't been under Obama, which would happen that it miraculously just came about on starting on the 20th. It makes no sense to most people. Let's see. Unemployment is a major problem. The economy is bad, and America is evil again. And to prove this, the contention, the media is already talking about how there has been a massive rise in hate crimes against Muslims, and it's all Trump's fault, but don't believe these lies. And it goes on. It's a long story, but it goes on to tell you more. And it is all lies, because I hate to tell you, all Trump has done, all he has done so far, he is picking people for his cabinet and to replace the people in office who will be leaving. But all Trump has done is absolutely, as far as made commander-in-chief, decisions, he hasn't done anything yet. So how can he be blamed for something when he's not even officially in office yet? Well, that's just the way the media is. They love to blame everybody else. And somehow, miraculously, for the last 8 years, Obama apparently is not being blamed for anything that has gone wrong with our any of these situations around the world that are affiliated with the U.S. or, basically the desecration of this freaking society. I don't know. That's probably not the right word to use, but the disintegration of our country. He has nothing to do with it. His hands are free of anything that he may have done wrong, because he has not done anything wrong. So this article, by the way, let's see what the date was in case you want to see. It's Constitution.com. Just look for a story called "Once Again, Media Lies About the Rise in Hate Crimes Against Muslims." And that was on November 17th, in case you're interested in reading it. So let's see. I have a story. It keeps on putting advertisements on top. Ohio woman. This was from Fox 8. Ohio woman accused of soliciting sex for nachos. I've never heard of something so stupid. Beaver Township, Ohio. An Ohio woman caught soliciting sex had an odd request. Beaver Township police say. Officers said found Crystal D. Hostelitz, or something like that, 36, of Claresville, advertising her services on the Youngstown Backpage.com. She told the undercover cop she would provide a sex act for $60 and nachos, according to police. Now, it depends. I don't think she was that attractive looking. They don't show her face, but I did see it somewhere. She's not very attractive, but for $60 and a bag of nachos, it might even been worth it. If she was like that woman today in the barbershop, it would have been. Otherwise, nah, it definitely would not be. I'd add some humor because it is going over. It's going over, Johnny. It's not over until I say it's over. No, it's over. It's like 17 after right now. So, another wacky story, by the way, and this is from a Russian astronaut woman. This was actually from the New York Post. I think I might have found this one on my very own. Dated, if I haven't mentioned, November 17th for this one too. And it said, did this astronaut warn of aliens before attempting suicide? So this woman overdosed on, I thought she overdosed on sleeping pills. Shocking video claims I thought it was Russia, claims France's first female astronaut screamed Earth must be warned before she attempted suicide. It looks like Claudia, 59, reportedly had to be restrained after yelling the eerie caution prior to falling into a coma from an overdose of sleeping pills. She basically had this whole conspiracy theory. She was like the first female astronaut, French woman, and apparently I think she probably suffered from, there must be something you might get from going into outer space, like the pressure change or something. I don't know, but she definitely was not in her right mind. But this woman who was a prior astronaut, French woman, she basically recently just committed suicide. But she was seen ranting and raving, I guess, making a video. I don't know if it was a YouTube one. Yeah, it does. It says a 6-minute YouTube conspiracy film by UFO Mania. She was basically stating that when she was out in outer space, she was forewarning the folks on planet Earth to watch out for an alien invasion. I was like, God, that woman really went nutso from going up in space. So it was kind of an interesting story. Wow, I just shut it down. I apologize. I forget where I got it from now. See if I can find it. It was a story, again, it was on the 17th. It was just, it definitely caught my attention because it was just so off the wall. I couldn't help but just like put that in the mix tonight. I don't see it right now. I do got a couple of stories that were really good. Might have to just let that one go. If you're interested, like my friend Matt, he'll actually contact me. So if anybody's listening, and if I don't see it in the next second, which I don't think I will, just please just contact me somehow, and I'll let you know. Yeah, because I'm too far down now on stories that are very old. Okay, I'm going back up, moving on up. See if I can find that story. Nope, I can't find it, which is kind of weird. Yeah, and since it's shut down, it's going to be really difficult to find again. Oh, here we go. It says from the New York Post, NewYorkPost.com. Just look for a story that's titled, "Did this astronaut warn of aliens before attempting suicide?" Yeah, she was actually. So there you go. Let's see what I have. Oh, here's a funny story. Used to love her. I thought she was really great. I had to love her, but then I used to love her, but I had to kill her. That Guns N' Roses song. It hasn't got that far yet with me. But Miley Cyrus was on the news of Conservative 101, and I found this one on my very own. Miley Cyrus challenges Donald Trump, who had challenged Donald Trump, is brutally shut down, says she is leaving America for good. So most people's comments underneath were like, hey, basically don't let the door hit you in the ass. Because she was a big, showing off her body, basically becoming nude, and doing all this really wacky, wild stuff, hoping that Hillary Clinton would win and thought this would be a sure shot. Now she is devastated. She's one of these snowflakes who has now fallen completely apart. It was, again, from Conservative 101. It was on November 17th, once again, this story as well. That's 3 stories in a row from the 17th that I had pulled. Now I'm reading them. And again, it's titled, Miley Cyrus challenges Donald Trump, is brutally shut down, says she is leaving America for good. That is one long fucking title. Sorry about that. I slipped again. So that's entertaining, to say the least. I lost my voice on that one. 2 more stories, but I'm missing some of the ones I wanted to read. Real quick, Times Herald had posted the other day, Montgomery County proposes 11% real estate tax hike. That's all we need, a tax hike. I hope Bush, sorry about that, Trump will kind of stop that in its tracks. I mean, he can't do much for the state, but it depends, I guess, who's in charge. Hopefully we get somebody who will make sure that does not happen. Because I think right now we have Governor Wolf or something like that. My dad called him the Big Bad Wolf. He's been a nightmare, just raising taxes in PA like beyond belief. So we need to get rid of that man. Probably, if there was a way we could impeach him, I'd probably prefer it. Let's see. I had some stories I found, and I shut them down accidentally, so I'm trying to look for them again. Because these are actually pretty good, folks. Well, dumb, but they were pretty good. I'm going to be dumb and pretty good. Well, I don't know, actually. Real quick, just read this. I'm not going to go in. Dream and Demon. Maybe I already read these. I don't remember. Man ran woman off the road, then raped her in a ditch for 2 hours. That was on the Dream and Demon. This was in Virginia. You won't believe this, but it falls in one of those categories of, somebody who is here illegally. Police have apprehended a suspect accused of pulling a young woman out of her car after a crash, then raping her in a ditch over a period of 2 hours, around 2:45 and 3:15 a.m. on October 31st. The woman driving east on Kings Highway was hit by an SUV driven by 26-year-old Roberto. I can't pronounce that last name, so forget it. But you can kind of get the gist. You can tell by the mugshot of him where I'm going to go with that. There's one I wanted to read because I thought it was just plain freaking entertaining. If I read it already, I apologize. Just have to read it because this is how crazy people are. Item is not found anymore. That's kind of weird. Because it would have definitely been a very good story. So I can't open it up because the story has been removed at this point. But it was titled from on my Facebook page because I bookmarked it there. Thank goodness I did that. Woman runs over her husband with an SUV after learning he voted for Trump. A California woman severely injured her husband by hitting him at great speed with her SUV after he confessed that he had voted for Donald Trump. So I can't open that one up because literally it was removed. That's pretty funny, actually. So there you go. There's another nutcase who, has been victimized and thinks now that Trump is going to make guys grab women's private parts and other stuff, and that since Trump's in office now, every woman on college campuses has to worry about being raped because now all these sex offended males are going to be out on the loose, screwing women left and right and raping them and pulling them out of their cars. I mean, and the guy who raped that one woman was an outsider from our country. So, you don't want to look at the truth. You want to look at these fictional, or not fictional. Is that fictional? Fictional is truth, isn't it? Whatever, these wacko stories that women and the left actually believe. So good luck with those. Anyway, folks, it is an hour and a half. I apologize for making such a long night, but I hope you do enjoy it. Sorry about that, my friend Val. I would love to do a show with you in the near future, and I do want to do one. That's why I continue to remind myself and everybody else I want to do one with Butch, because I want to kind of dedicate a show for him. And then do other people in some other interviews when I have the chance, or they have the chance to do one with me. So everyone, thank you very much for listening to iWalter. And everyone out there who is listening to me, thank you for listening. And if not, I can't say anything. So have a good morning. This is Walter signing off for now.